2022 was my first full year spent on this property, in this house. And my eyes were absolutely bigger than my capacity to get things done. I know there are so many channels out there where people show off their progress, how much they got done in a year, and it's always impressive. We built our homestead in 10 months type stuff. This isn't that. I don't have the money to pull that off. I can't buy my way into a functioning homestead. It's a slow burn, incremental improvements and change. In fact, part of the lesson I learned this year was to break away from my cottagecore vision of a homestead where everything is tidy and new, and embrace reusing old materials or repurposing things. The fence isn't all going to be fresh new posts and mesh. Some of it is just going to need mended while I replace maybe 100 feet or so a year. The chicken coop was partially built from old barn scrap and pasture plywood. And while the new one I'm planning will be a bit better, this is what got me up and running. We also started a garden from scratch, and the first year was a pretty big bust, but we learned some and are more than eager to plan again this year. The land really didn't have any infrastructure in place. It used to have a barn, but the previous owner was kind enough to burn it down in a really misfortunate accident. I'm left with some fence and a water hydrant. I've got to raise everything else myself. On that note, some plans going into 2023 include a new, larger chicken coop. And something else I've been designing, the first outbuilding. A 3-bay open-walled farm shed to store things like tools, feed, keep it out of the rain and sun. This isn't a large or fancy structure, and it's no barn, but it's a start on outbuilding infrastructure. It also presents a bit of an abstract problem, location. Being the first outbuilding, its location is pretty critical. It will inform workflow and the location of future infrastructure. The most likely location for the shed is going to be right here where the old chicken coop is. It needs to move. That's something I'll solve once this melts. Now, there's a lot out here that I can't work on right now, mostly because of the snow. It's not particularly cold, so it is melting. But there is something I can work on, and it's down there. This old girl needs a rehab. Now, mostly, I'm going to be taking the lights off and attaching them to boards. That'll give me 4 chains to adjust per shelf instead of the 6 right now. On top of that, I'm going to be doubling the lights per shelf. This does mean I am going to have to get more lights in the future, but I can get 2 shelves done for now. Finally, each shelf is going to get a styrofoam base. I had some issues with this shelf due to it having a lip, which made it hard to get trays in and out. The styrofoam should raise up the bottom surface, making this a lot easier, as well as insulate my seed warming mats. Now, there isn't much I can do about the exposed insulation walls just yet. That is a future project. It's so low on the priority list right now, but it's fairly static. It's not super dusty down here, so I don't expect too many problems. So I completed one shelf already. Went ahead and prototyped out my plan. It has a few kinks to work out, but I think my plan's going to work. Now I have the second shelf to do. Well, first thing, I have to remove all these old chains. Alright, so I cut out these 2 boards. Pretty simple. I have a small amount of layout to do. I'm spacing these out 3 inches a piece in from the outside. They don't have to be exact, just pretty close. Now I'm going to attach these light brackets. I'm actually using these screws, and then we'll just zip these on. So these particular lights that I have these pretty convenient brackets. I use these flathead metal to wood screws. They cover a good amount of surface area and they're very short. They don't need to hold a heavy load, so I'm not so worried about them going deep into the wood. Alright, so this is where we are now, and as you can see there is a little space in the middle. Another light can go there, I just didn't have enough just yet. I need about 16 lights on top of what I already have to finish off the rack. I only have a dozen right now, so this is what I am working with. Now with those screwed on, the next thing I'm going to do is flip these and put It doesn't have to be too deep, roughly aligned with the back of the end clip on either side. I'm gonna put a little pilot hole in. And my hook's gonna go in there. And now for the fun part, trying to get all of these lights into these clips. I'm gonna have them roughly spaced like that. Get these first ones in. It's not easy because the other side wants to back out. You almost gotta. There we go. There. All right, now we're gonna adjust these so they're all even. Gonna bring this side out. About there. Move you in. Out. All right. This is our light rack that's going to go on the second shelf. Let's get that downstairs. Alrighty, alrighty. So we're going to get this up in here. As you can see, I already cut some insulation to size and have that done. I didn't think I really needed to show anyone cutting insulation to size. So, gonna need 4 chains for this and 4 hooks. Now on this shelf I can do this because the bottoms are mesh shaped. If you have a solid top, you may have to look for other mount points. I'm just using chain and these little S hooks. All right, now we just gotta wire it up. There we go. New germination light rack setup. I've doubled the amount of lights per shelf. I'm actually going to be adding 1 more per shelf to fill that center gap. It'll give me full coverage of the 1020s. I could always add another one right on the end here if I need to, both top and bottom. So technically I can fit 3 more lights per shelf if I feel like I need to. Now I just need a ton more lights to do these bottom shelves. All right, that's it for the moment. I know I promised a lot more content this year and I am working on it. I got off to a slow start, but especially as it warms up, I got a ton of stuff for you guys. All right, that's it. Signing off for now.